Do you know, these always remind me of not headphones, that earwear protection, you know, for if you're on a building site. But if I put them like that, they kind of strangle me. It would be better like that. But yeah. Always wear protective workwear when you're constructing something. I'm constructing a walk at the moment. It's only a little one. I'm going back to the car now. But anyway, this is Chorleywood. I'm going to flip it around. You don't need to see me. So when I get round here, there'll be a bunch of people with dogs and stuff, and I'm not going to bother continuing to film, but oh well, that's famous last words. But there's looks like a new addition. I mean, that's interesting little thing. But look, oh wow. King on the throne, and look at this circle. Yeah, so bunch of car parks along the top there. That's the A404 that takes you into Amersham from Northwood, Pinner, Rickmansworth, that sort of thing. That's quite an interesting little spot up there where that car's coming out. I think it's like not assisted living, but I think you have to be over a certain age or something to live there. It's quite nice. It's got a sort of a country house sort of in there as well, which I guess is apartments now. But yeah, I think that oddly enough, although it's not huge in there, but there are quite a number of properties in there, but it does have a bus service that goes in there, actually all the way in there, which is quite unique. A little private estate, or a little private little, do we call it a thing? Oh man. And I'm a little bit English, and I do like to give people their privacy. But it will of course become even more prevalent than it already is to be walking down the street and see people with their, or maybe not so much with their smartphones, maybe with their GoPros, walking along. If I was really smart, I'd be popping in the keywords and letting captions auto-generate and let YouTube pick up, the algorithm pick up on that stuff. Anyway, for the time being, I've done this so many times, this walk and this talk over here, but I haven't been over for a month or so. I think the last time I came over here I did proclaim that spring had sprung. Well, it unsprung and sprung again and then unsprung again, and what it always does really in this country, in England. I'm sure that has some pops out of the exhaust, and I'm sure it also has a dump valve on the turbo, which probably equates to about 2/3 of his fuel bill getting it to and but anyway, it's fun. What else can you do? Things are quick enough these days for the fun of acceleration to be over within a few seconds, and then you're looking up for cameras and things, so you've got to entertain yourself in some other way. Anyhow, so there you go. That's quite lovely, isn't it? I always wonder with some of these sort of period dramas and you know, your Downton Abbeys and your whatever. The Blue Bear Railway down in sort of around the East Grinstead way is kind of very used for that sort of thing. And, you know, it's nice to have a bit of CGI, but you know, you want to make sure that there's still, I love that stuff, you know, you want to be able to still film that sort of thing. Personally, I find it quite relaxing to be taken back to that bygone era. I'm sure when you were sitting, a face full of soot on a 1930 steam train back in period, as the saying goes, back in the day, as the saying now goes, you'd probably be quite interested to learn about these electric trains that are springing up everywhere. And or maybe you wouldn't, but there's a lot of the technology that we have now that is much wished for, perhaps, maybe not wished for, but enjoyed. But it's just that balance, isn't it? So I guess we have the benefit of everything we know now when we look back on these period dramas, and it's exactly what TV does so well when it does do it well, which is a bit of escapism, isn't it? You can just kick back from the comfort. I mean, it's the irony, you know, of watching and, you know, enjoying, lapping up the visuals of a 1930s scene, you know, sitting on your settee with your remote control in your hand, watching it on a 58-inch OLED TV. But that's what it's all about. You can take the old saying, you got to take the rough with the smooth, but it's very therapeutic, isn't it, even if temporarily. So when you pick out the rough and put that off to one side, and even some people like a bit of drama in that, those sort of costume dramas, but for me, I got a little bit, growing up with my mum and my sister watching that sort of stuff, I got a bit tired of, you know, you just know that 3 of your favourite characters are going to die of influenza. Do you know what I mean? And the ones where they don't, I actually found it quite nice, because you could just look at the steam trains, the cars and the villages, and it's a bit like the original, well, even the later sort of Darling Buds of May, you know, the Larkins. It was nice to have a little bit of, well, I suppose, light entertainment is what you call it, isn't it? Watching something thinking this isn't going to be gut-wrenching, it's not going to be heart-wrenching, it's not going to leave you in misery and waiting another week for some more misery. It's just going to be a gentle little meander through things that are pleasing on the eye and pleasing on the heart, and etc, etc. And of course, if you look around my YouTube channel, you may be a little bit confused to see the medley of things that are there. But, you know, not everything is demographically perfect. I am a petrol head, and I do love walking. I love the countryside, but one of my favourite places on earth, I think, is central London. Etc, etc. So the juxtaposition of my preferences will leave you astounded, if you find them of any interest at all. But yeah, I love watching Harry's Garage on YouTube, and I love watching Harry's Farm on YouTube, and I don't mind watching a bit of Clarkson, whatever he gets up to. Really, well, not really so much Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that's not really my thing. But Clarkson's Farm is fantastic. I absolutely love it. But seeing him as well on Grand Tour, the Grand Tour, also loved it. So yeah, anyway, blah blah blah. Isn't it nice over here? It's a damn shame that there in the background you can hear what I think is the M25. It's another damn shame that you can use it, and that's the problem, isn't it? And I'm sure you can hear that sound, and it is quite loud. It carries more. The more times I come over here, the more I sort of think, you know, that's too much. Especially having been down in, you know, on the moors in Dartmoor, down in Devon for quite a bit, especially during lockdown. Where, you know, you really don't hear very much at all. But most of what you can hear there is not engines, unfortunately. It is tyres on tarmac and wind going past the copious amounts of metalwork of an SUV or a 38-ton, 40-foot truck. So what that basically means is, in this nirvana world, which we won't be going into the way that we're being told we're going to go into it, this whole electrification thing, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it ain't going to happen the way it's being planned out, hence the knocking it along 5 years. But anyway, if every one of those cars was electric, I think the noise would be more or less the same. Because electric cars are silent at a couple of miles an hour, except for the little sounds that some of them have to play or whatever. But they're not silent when they come past at 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever miles per hour. I know that stretch of road, actually, M25 there, from the other side of where I'm standing now, and I noticed that when they resurfaced, they'd used a much quieter tarmac, and that made quite a difference. And also in the rain, it's also, you know, a little bit louder. So yeah, that's something that has to be managed in some way. Seeing something like a Tesla accelerate rapidly up a hill, that's for me where it sort of defies the senses then, because you're expecting to hear a whole load of fuss, and you sort of don't really. But, you know, walking around the streets of suburbia in a town, you realise that most of the sound, unless somebody's ragging it, most of the sound of most cars these days comes from rolling along, and a little bit of wind noise, though you won't hear too much of that around little towns, but yeah. So in other words, as it stands right now, there's nothing known to the mainstream that is going to make, currently, that is going to make too much, if any, difference to the level of noise over there. Get some more trees maybe. Yeah, I wasn't going to do this for quite so long. It's a nice property though, isn't it? It's like the park keeper's property. And my phone's now, not my phone, my watch is now trying to tell me what I've achieved in calorific terms. This sounds like a Chiltern Line train going past. It's a little bit noisier than the electric ones on the Met Line. Anyhow, yeah, there it is. I was talking to my dad last week, and he was telling me about the state of Wembury Woods, which is all fenced off now because of HS2. I mean, I'm sure. Let's see, even there, see, that's electric. Not a lot of difference in sound. That's all rolling. Well, not really resistance, is it? But, you know, I don't know. Stick in the comments what that's called. The sound of the wheels on metal and various other things going on with that thing in motion. Sounds like the brakes are slightly binding as well, but anyway. But yeah, the HS2 thing is a bit of a shame. It's more than that, isn't it? Depends on your perspective. I mean, literally, it's going through your garden or your favourite set of woods. Lovely little property up there, and train line going through it. So yeah, get that balance right. Anyway, I'm going to get into all that. But there you go. That's a little bit of. I think that was a black and white Springer Spaniel that just came past me, looking at me very proudly with the ball in his mouth. I was definitely not going to be having that ball, was I? It's like every dog everywhere. Anyway, so that was just a small little lap of the edge of the common here in Chorleywood, which, yeah, needs quieter traffic noise. Can't believe I'm saying it. Well, I can believe I'm saying that, but it's kind of like, would I like all of these cars to disappear and we walk? I mean, no. Bit of anti-gravity technology maybe, and we can just be just off, you know, a few inches or so off the tarmac. That might be quite useful. Certainly be quieter. Well, maybe it wouldn't. Depends what method is used. To generate your anti-gravity solution. You might take a noisy combustion engine to do it. Anyway, speaking of noisy combustion engines, I'm back at my vehicle And so yeah, I do like cars. I love cars. I love the countryside. And see, I'm not sure exactly what that is, but if you look at that, there was of course a time where that existed only to look at, what do they call it? Uninterrupted views of open countryside. Then somebody put a railway line in there, although that's probably been there well over 100 years. I should know by now, but I'm pretty sure it has been. And sometimes, you know, from a train or from a road, you see a lovely house and say, right, I'd love to live there. You think, well, no, wouldn't it backs onto a railway line? Or backs onto a motorway? I don't know if I've got this right, but driving through Germany some years ago, I noticed speed limit signs that were time dependent. So, and I noticed they, in a slide, I just invented that that's what they meant, these signs, but it just seemed that basically at night going through a town or a village or whatever, there were speed limit restrictions for noise, I guess. And then during the day, in some of the sort of more busier stretches, there were speed restrictions during the day, I suppose, for safety. That's what it seemed to me. It would make sense. But it certainly wasn't a situation where you get on the Autobahn and then there's no speed limits at all at any point, no matter what. It did feel like that at times. I saw somebody coming past me at about 100 mile an hour on a Vauxhall Astra estate on compact snow. I was struggling with my British all-season tyres. For all season, read no season. And I was not having fun on those. But yeah, it's quite humiliating really to see Fritz coming past at probably about 100 mile an hour. But he was on a different set of tyres, and he also had a different set of, experience, having probably grown up on those roads. But so yeah, I never really managed to fully unleash my 5 Series that I had at the time there. I did a little bit, and I found myself driving faster than I would normally, just because you could, and I sort of realised that and thought, just pack it in, there's no point. That's for another day sort of thing. That was going there on the sort of light rain and stuff. But yeah, coming back on the snow now, that was, I wasn't sure if there was a minimum speed limit, because I probably would have been more in contravention of that. But anyway, yeah, so it's quite interesting that that's how I read those signs, and so that would be a sort of some conscience on the subject of noise to people in the community. So this is a particularly quiet stretch of Autobahn, but it goes through a village, so at night time turn your engine down. So basically that's what I decided that it meant. I've never checked out if that definitely was, but anyway. There's the man from the house over there. He has to go up and turn around. So anyway, just zoom in on this rather lovely looking dog. There's something to chase. The train's a little bit too fast. If you just turn sideways, oh look, there's it gone. There's a different one. I was looking at this little fella. Anyway, there it is. There's everything. Zoom all the way out, look at that. Alright, so I'm going to end off. Thanks for watching. I'll flip the thing around. Don't know what else to say really, but thanks for watching, and I hope you found it interesting to see Chorleywood. Comment, like, subscribe, usual stuff, and as they say, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.